BlasterGas. 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 BlasterGas.
Well, I was going to introduce us to whoever out there might choose to listen to our podcast.
Well, there
So-
may be one person. I'm sure my mum will watch it. Listen, sorry.
Your mum listens to podcasts, doesn't she?
Yeah, we'll get my mum. We'll get my mum to listen to it.
Okay, that's one.
Okay,
cool.
so let's just imagine we're talking to mum.
I don't know if that's going to be that helpful.
Fine. I'm sure there's loads of people watching, listening. Sorry.
Anyway, to introduce yourselves,
Okay.
I'm Marco,
I'm Jayne.
and we live in Edinburgh in Scotland,
Correct.
and we're both from Edinburgh in Scotland,
Correct.
but we didn't meet in Edinburgh in Scotland.
Correct.
Do you want to give people just a little bit of background about where we met and stuff like that, or not really?
I'm gonna do it in like a sentence.
A sentence. Wow.
Okay, maybe like a long sentence.
When,
with
how many years ago was it?
15, 16 years ago.
You have to say
So-
such a big sigh before you say.
So we met 16 years ago in Barcelona. Got married 10 years ago. Have 2 children. Back in Edinburgh. And I would say, and this is maybe where we can kick off our discussion.
That is pretty. I mean, I thought you could maybe make it sound a bit more interesting in the background than that. I mean,
What I am going to say is that we've both been together a really long time. We have 2 beautiful babies. But one thing that always has stuck out is Marco's complete love stroke obsession with pop culture, with movies and music, and my complete and utter just uninterest in it all. Like really, like I will sit and read a book. I will listen to like 3 podcasts that I like about running, basically. Oh, ghosts and UFOs, things that Mark was not interested in. So we're both really different on that part. One thing that we often link on is, a good UFO movie.
yeah, I was going to say. I just wanted to correct you there. I am interested in UFOs. I'm just not interested in people saying that they have the definitive evidence of UFOs and absolutely flawless theory about how we all came from aliens, that sort of stuff. But of course I'm interested in UFOs. I grew up the Star Wars generation, so I was always interested in stuff about space, mainly because of Star Wars.
Cool. Well, you know that in June 2026, Steven Spielberg's bringing out a new Aliens movie. So excited! And I would like to
Which
add...
for someone that's not interested in movies, you knew that before I knew that.
Yeah, okay, so if it's a movie about one of my special interests, I will obviously want to watch it. I request that BlasterGas selects some of my movie choices to be able to discuss on here. I vote for Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which we did watch recently for the first time,
Yeah,
which
we
was
can talk about that.
mental, by the way. And also E.T., obviously, because there's so much that can be said here. But what I hadn't realised, and I appreciated, was that you said, let's watch Superman. I was like, Superman, kind of lame compared to Marvel. I do actually know it's DC. Again, that has been educated to me from Marco. But what you made me realise, what you said to me was, Superman is actually an alien, and so I was there for it, and we sat and we've watched a bunch of the movies. So I was born early 80s. Superman 1. Do we call it Superman 1? Old school Superman? What do we call it?
People call it like all sorts of things, like the original Superman or the Christopher Reeve Superman, or
Okay, let's call it the Christopher
the
Reeves.
78 Superman, because it was 78 it came out, or the
Okay.
old Superman movies, or
Let's call it the Christopher Reeves Superman
right.
in brackets 78.
And what we're going to refer to, so in that case we'll refer to the newer Supermans as the Henry Cavill.
Oh no, I'm not going to remember that.
Henry Cavill.
Okay, I'll try. Anyway, I remember Superman, obviously, growing up, but I don't ever remember seeing the movies. It came out before, this movie came out before I was born. What I do remember was Supergirl. Supergirl was cool, and I remember that movie. That actually came out when I was very young, so it must have just been on telly, because that's how everyone used to watch movies, just when it came on telly, or from the video store.
Yeah, I mean, you've that was what was going to be actually my first question for you. Can you remember the first time what your first memories or ideas about what Superman was, or the first superheroes that you were interested in? So would Supergirl be like the first superhero you're interested in, you think?
Yeah.
And did you know Supergirl before you knew Superman?
No, I think like Superman's almost just like part of our kind of culture.
It's like everybody knows
Just
Superman.
everyone.
Yeah.
But you know, what did I know about Superman? Didn't know Superman was an alien. Superman, all I know is big S and red pants and blue leggings.
Okay.
So that's really as much as I knew.
Similar to Supergirl, really.
Similar to Supergirl.
Does she have red pants and blue leggings?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Pretty much the same outfit.
I've never seen the Supergirl movie you mentioned after we watched Superman.
Well, actually, Supergirl obviously has a skirt on because it was the 80s and people were not allowed to wear trousers if you were a female. So
If people wore what?
she had a skirt on. She
They
didn't
said
have.
people weren't allowed to wear trousers.
Just like women would be represented in films with like skirts, not with trousers. They wouldn't have made her like, you know, like we've got like Captain Marvel now. They wouldn't put Captain Marvel in a skirt.
That is very true.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. I
There
think
was
we
a
did,
few things in this movie that didn't date well, I have to say.
well,
But,
I mean,
you know, we can
what
start on the
does-
positives.
What does date well, though? I mean, what does age well when you're talking about cultural things? I mean, one of the interesting things I like about older culture is the things that do make it obvious that it was made in the past. They're the things that I find interesting about watching old movies, because that's what makes them. You don't want the old movies to be the same as new movies, because then it wouldn't be interesting, you know.
Well, hopefully it also shows a little bit about how society's progressed as well. The fact that we do see some of these older stereotypes and biases being represented in older movies, and we can actually recognise them as being outdated.
So none of the new Wonder Woman wears a skirt. I was just thinking which of the new versions of female. But then is it a skirt or is it? No, she doesn't. Oh no. Well, there's the old Wonder Woman wore shorts, and the new Wonder Woman wears a skirt, I think.
Oh yeah.
But then it's like a sort of Roman Greek kind of.
It's
skirt,
more like
as
yeah.
opposed to like a
It's like traditional.
mini skirt.
Yeah, it's like traditional dress that she's got on. Anyway, we've already gone off topic, which is going to happen an awful lot because that's how we chat basically.
I was waiting for some attempt at like up to date street expression.
Well, do you know? Well,
there was a long pause as you contemplated it and then decided against it. I'm glad.
well, wait a minute.
Thankfully.
I will tell you what I was going to say, and I paused.
That's how
I
I
was like,
roll.
because
No?
that's how we roll. And I thought, oh god, yeah, we are. We're old and outdated too.
Well, this is where, you know, a bit of background might have been good, but like for example, saying that we're both in our 40s.
Correct.
I mean, I think that's kind of relevant when you're talking about any kind of culture because
Okay.
you're coming at it from a certain viewpoint. You know,
Yeah. Well, I'm an 80s child.
how we look at a movie from 40 years ago is different from how a kid in like their 20s would look at a movie 40 years ago.
Okay, true. So I am a child of the 80s, and you're a child of the 70s.
Well, no, technically I'm a child of the 80s. Well, no, I mean I was born in 77, but my childhood was the 80s, really.
Yeah,
I don't remember
okay,
much
fine.
about it. There were still the odd 70s TV programs and stuff. I remember growing up, but it was pretty much, it was, when it comes to TV and stuff and movies, it would be like A-Team, Knight Rider, Back to the Future, Ghostbusters, all classic 80s
All
stuff.
classic ones.
And you remember them as well.
Yeah, because,
You were just a bit younger.
yeah, but you know, it's so different in the way we watch movies now. Like, there's too much choice for me. It's actually become impossible for me to choose a movie to watch, which is your role in our household, I have to say. I kind of quite liked it when you just had to wait for it to come on the telly. You'd be like, oh, it's on the telly. You'd record it, obviously, on a blank tape. And I loved like going to the video shop to go get your movie, you know. But it meant that there was like much less that we saw, so we saw the same ones over and over again. Guess what? One of my favorite movies was growing up, and everyone, this will let you insight into how I am not. I'm not taught with pop culture. Can you guess what one of my favorite movies was growing up?
One of your favourite 80s movies?
Yeah, that I used to watch over and over again.
I'm trying to think of the ones you've talked about the most. Would they be, or you've mentioned any time about 80s movies? Mannequin?
Oh yeah, I like Mannequin, but that wasn't one I used to watch over and over again.
What was that one about? Space Academy or something?
Space Camp.
Space Camp?
Oh, please, can we? I've not seen Space Camp for years.
So it's neither of those two?
No.
So which one is? And is it Supergirl?
Wasn't Supergirl. No, it was Annie.
Oh my god.
I know. My mum got so mad with listening to it going over and over again that she took the tape and broke it.
See, that's one genre that like is not. I mean, I can think of maybe a few, 2 or 3 musicals which I liked, but in general, I've never liked the way that you get into the story and the dialogue and the visuals, and suddenly they just burst into song. I would always be like, just hopefully this finishes soon so we get back to the movie. It always felt like a detraction from the movie.
I get that, but I do love musicals when they're done well. When they're done well. But we've got pretty different tastes, I would say. So I'm interested for us to have a discussion about Superman, Christopher Reeve's 78.
Can you tell me a little bit about Supergirl just first? Because I'm interested. Because I think a lot of people listening to this, or even if it's just your mum, a lot of people listening to this might not have seen Supergirl.
Well, I don't really remember it because I don't remember movies, which is going to be a bit of an issue with recording a podcast with you about movies. But what I can remember, and I don't even know if this is true, we'll have to watch it again to find out, but I'm pretty sure she was this sort of young high school girl, and Superman was like a father figure maybe in it, but it had a lot of the same kind of similar things, you know, like getting the changed in the not post box, phone box, for example.
Getting changed in a post box, that would take different kinds of superpowers.
Yeah. And the idea of the kind of double life, like I imagine it's maybe a little bit like Spider-Man in the way that young teenager at high school and all of those things, but I don't really remember.
So she's like not only struggling with being a superhero, but also typical teenage angst issues.
Yeah. But that all could be completely untrue because I actually don't remember it. But that is what my feeling is.
Okay, so let's start talking about Superman.
Okay.
So, did you come into the movie with any preconceived ideas or memories of the original Superman? Let's start by talking about the original, or I call it the original. There was technically a really old Superman movie, I think, in the 40s or 50s. But let's say most people consider it to be the first Superman movie from 1978.
Mhm.
Did you, before we watched it the other day, did you have any preconceived memories or ideas about the movie?
No, but I did think it's going to be boring because I
Okay.
thought it was going to be really dated.
Why does that make it boring for you?
It kind of irritates me seeing the really like rubbishy, crappy graphic things. I'm not very forgiving when I watch it. I watch a movie because I want to kind of escape into it, and so it has to have, I suppose, be flawless, I suppose. And so I pick up, like, I will notice any little continuity error. Not saying there was any in this, I didn't see anyway, but I will notice all those little details. And so if there's something that kind of stands out that doesn't feel like it's part of the scene, like the rubbish graphics or something, it takes me out of the story of the movie.
Yeah, I get that. And people talk about that a lot when they're talking about movies. Even modern movies that can have bits that take you out of the movie because the acting's not great, or the effects, even if they're modern, the effects aren't great, or like you say, continuity issues and stuff. It's not just old movies that do that.
What did you think? When was the last time you saw Superman, given that you're like a massive fan of all movies?
Well, not all movies.
I imagine you watched it during the pandemic.
I did watch it during the pandemic amongst all my various franchise watch throughs.
Mm-hmm. And what did you remember about it, and what was your kind of opinion of it?
Okay, so I didn't remember much about the first Superman, so I was looking forward to seeing it because I think I'd seen it maybe once or twice previously, but it was Superman 2 and 3 that I'd seen more, especially Superman 3. Superman 3 I'd seen loads of times. Possibly because that was the one on TV the most. Also, that would be the one that was, I think that came out, in 83 or 84 or something like that. So I was more of an age to watch that kind of movie. Superman 1 and 2 I'd maybe seen that just happened to be on TV. Like you said, sometimes a lot of times in the old days, you watch the movies because it just happened to be on. You're like, oh, I'm bored on a Saturday afternoon, see what's on telly, or it's a rainy day, see what's on telly. Oh, Superman's on in half an hour, that'll be good. And that's how you watch movies. So, but Superman 3 was the one I'd seen the most. So I was interested in seeing Superman 1 again, also because I remembered it being like kind of slow and kind of had kind of serious bits in it, and as a kid I remember thinking this seemed a bit dull, bits of it. But I always liked Christopher Reeve as Superman, and so I was looking forward to seeing it as an adult, knowing that I could probably deal with what I thought were boring or dialogue heavy bits more. So I thought,
scary bits.
I'll appreciate, So I thought, I'll appreciate this more now as an adult, and it'll be interesting to see how it compares to 2 and 3, which I'd seen more. So that's what I was thinking.
Cool.
So, what did you think when the movie first started?
I was super impressed. It grabbed my attention because it wasn't really crappy graphics. The actual opening bit, like the credits with the music and the visuals, they were like, oh, this is actually pretty cool.
Which bit are you talking about?
It's
the
like
bit,
going through space.
So wait a minute. We've skipped a bit because the actual very beginning
is the comic book bit.
Is that weird? It starts off like an old
in black and white.
It's all in black and white. Is it to start with curtains opening and like you're in an old movie theater, and it's in black and white, and it's like got like your old American news reporter.
It was supposed to be around like the time of the Great Depression.
Right.
Yeah, I actually thought that was really cool.
Well,
was that before the other bit? Okay.
Well, Superman first appeared in comic books in 1938.
So I think that whole beginning bit must have been some sort of, is it homage?
Yeah, or callback
to that sort of original. The fact it was a comic book. Yeah, it was like a kid or something, wasn't it? And then they were opening up the comic book, and then the focus of the scene went into one of the comic book squares. Don't know if they've got an official name. Panels. That was off the Daily Planet, and then we kind of sank down through that.
Yeah, and so
I thought it was cool.
And then we go into, like you said, the flying through space, which you would have presumably enjoyed because you're been really into anything about space recently.
Yeah, it was really cool. I thought the graphics, I thought I was really quite impressed with all of them. If you think with Star Wars,
surely not the graphics.
Well, they were fine. I don't know.
You just like the fact they were flying through space.
I just like the fact it was flying through space, and the music was good. Yeah.
And the music is brilliant. Come on, good doesn't even come close.
Okay, brilliant.
John Williams.
Is it John Williams?
Like you yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, John Williams, one of those composers of soundtracks that probably he's the most famous movie soundtrack composer, I would say, in the world.
Oh, 100%.
You know, certainly the Western world. He's the, how many themes has he done where you could just hum the theme to someone and they would recognize it? You know, whether you're in France or America or Spain or.
Well, you hum the themes quite a lot.
I do.
I would say.
And most of them are John Williams ones as well because they're kind of catchy.
Yeah. Superman wouldn't be Superman without John Williams.
Why'd you say that?
Because the music is such an iconic part of it.
And what do you think about my theory about when it's going it's actually meaning Superman?
Oh no, this was a cover. Yeah, okay. So you thought that actually John Williams secretly had lyrics, and it was Superman. Yeah, I think you could be right.
What was the other one I said? I can't remember. Like Jaws. Jaws was one that didn't really work.
Okay.
That's my theory, because Jaws.
No, I think it's
Jaws.
It's not Jaws. It's hungry. Hungry.
That could work, yeah.
Hungry. I know,
hungry. But my theory was like the actual title of the movie was somehow into it.
Maybe it used to be called Hungry, not Jaws.
Like Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Or...
We can stop now.
What was the Harry Potter one I said? Harry Potter, Harry Potter.
Yeah. I mean, I think the fact that John Williams is such an incredible, talented composer, I do think he would have come up with some slightly better lyrics than that.
I know, but I'm not saying that would be his lyrics, but that might have been his inspiration of, like, the punctuation of the notes or something, because composers have like little tricks like that they do.
Okay.
Anyway, so you like the old schooly bit?
I like the old schooly bit. However, what didn't make sense to me was, so obviously we had the little old schooly bit looking at the Daily Planet, then we had the credits. Now, because we've seen the Daily Planet in the cartoon, comic-y thing, it made me think that that's where we were going to start in the movie. But we didn't. We started way, way back when Superman... is Caleb? Character?
The dad.
No. What was Superman's name? Alien name?
Kal-El.
Kal-El. Was just being born. So that, like...
No, he wasn't just being born.
Well, he wasn't just being born.
You're thinking of the newer one.
Okay, he hadn't just been born.
Henry Cavill.
He was small baby. Oh, he was actually quite a big baby.
He was small baby. Yes, he was small baby.
He was actually quite a big baby. So I did like the comic book thing, but it made me think we were going to head straight to the Daily Planet, and instead we were off in alien space lands with Superman like 40 years younger or something.
Yeah, I thought that was weird because you're kind of like... It's almost like the whole movie was going to be about the Daily Planet.
That's what I thought,
Like, it was all big build up, but the important, the centre of all news comes from the Daily Planet, and you're like, I don't even remember the Daily Planet being in this movie that much. Anyway, so that was a bit weird. So, what did you think of of Krypton, the planet? Because the first shot is actually, I think, is Krypton. So you see, it looks like. It reminded me a bit of Star Wars in the fact that it was clearly like a model, although it looked more like a model than the Star Wars stuff did. The Star Wars stuff was kind of more believable somehow.
You are probably biased though.
But Krypton, I mean, it really looked like it'd been cut out of styrofoam.
I didn't notice that.
So what did you think of Krypton then?
I thought it looked really good. I loved all the space scenes.
But when it first sort of shows you, like, it's like a external shot of Krypton with like, it's like all sort of chunks of like, looks like snow, and then there's a big sort of like half like a dome.
Yes, okay, I do remember that. Yeah, it does look a bit like a soundstage, and I get what you mean about the polystyrene blocks.
Like a soundstage.
Well, the domey bit, it looks like it's filmed inside that bit, I suppose.
Right. Okay.
And I know understand what you mean by this polystyrene block things, because it was like these big blocks of almost like, I imagine like a granite, or I don't know, big stone. And it didn't look very natural. But then it's kind of forgiving when it's in an alien world, right? They can do what they want.
Well, one thing I find weird is because everyone everyone knows Superman, right? And everyone knows as well. Everyone knows Superman knows about kryptonite, and everyone, I would imagine, most people would say, "What color is kryptonite?" They would say green.
Correct.
But I noticed in the Christopher Reeve Superman movies and in the Henry Cavill Superman movies, there's not a lot of green in Krypton, on planet Krypton.
Now, can I just... Okay, you're going to be total despairing at me. However, I have a question about Krypton and kryptonite. Krypton is a planet.
Yes.
Kryptonite
Yes.
is something that is, if given to Superman or any other, I'm going to say Kryptonians,
Yeah.
it causes them to be weak
Yeah.
on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
So, planet Krypton can't be made of kryptonite. It must be made of krypton, and kryptonite is the opposite of krypton.
See, this is where it'd be more useful if I was more of an expert on Superman. Now, I know quite a lot about Superman, maybe more than your average person, but not so much that I can answer detailed questions about him. But, when they mention kryptonite, it's something to do with the radiation that takes away his powers. I thought maybe it was something to do with the fact that, how on actual Krypton, like the Kryptonians, they don't all have superpowers. They're just they're all kind of normal. And it's only when it comes to Earth that they have the powers.
Yeah.
And that's to do with, because they're used to a different kind of sun, with different kind of energy, something like that.
They're in a place with a low sun, because the sun gives them the energy,
So
and they're in a place with higher gravity.
So I thought maybe the kryptonite somehow brings them back to closer to what, like, it radiates more something, so it brings them closer to how they would be on Krypton.
Oh.
Therefore making them weaker.
Maybe that's what it is.
But it's not clear, because if you were in the first, well, we're jumping ahead here, but anyway,
It's not clear.
I was surprised. I always expected Krypton to be a bit more green, basically.
A bit more green.
Yeah, not white, not pure white.
Yeah, it was really stark. I wonder if that's a little bit of sort of the 80s influence, though, coming in to make it look modern.
Well, it was 78.
Okay, wow.
So it couldn't have been the 80s influence.
Yeah, you know what I mean. There was a bit at the beginning that really confused me.
Right.
So Caleb, who is Superman's dad.
No. Just to clarify again.
Okay.
Kal-El is Superman's name.
Yes.
Kal-L.
Okay.
And his dad
Yeah.
is Jor-El. Jor-L. It's like L's her second name.
Jor-El. Okay. Who's Caleb?
Nobody. Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams is the quarterback for the Chicago Bears. I know that much.
Okay. Okay. So maybe I should just say Superman's dad. Superman's dad. Jor-El?
Yes.
Oh, I got it right.
I
So
think you kind of have to say it almost like there's a hyphen there, because like you have to say Jor-El, not like
Jor-El.
Jor-El.
Jor-El. Okay. At the beginning, I thought Jor-El was a baddie. I was very confused about who the prisoners were.
Yeah.
Obviously, they'd made them look like they were kind of evil, but then it turned out it sounded like there'd been really bad ruling going on the planet. So they're actually just people looking for liberation and rising up against their system. So that made me think, well, it can't be that bad, can they? They're trying to free Krypton from these really crappy rulers.
Yeah, but then you describe like the crimes of each of them, and they sound like pretty bad people.
Okay, but Jor-El, so there's a point where the prisoners get sentenced. Oh, I did like the team's call. Did you see the team's call? When all the judges are sitting around on the big screens.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's interesting actually, because I guess then that would seem pretty high tech, whereas now it's pretty much every day.
It's like, oh, they're on a team's call.
Yeah, I never thought about that, but yeah, it's funny how we take that for granted now. In those days, that was like, wow, you can speak through a screen.
Futuristic.
Yeah.
So there's a bit where the kind of lead prisoner, don't know his name, the one with the beard, says to Jor-El.
Wait, I have to stop you there.
Okay.
You just watched his movies.
Yes.
And this guy was the main baddie of the Superman 78 and Man of Steel.
And?
You don't remember his name?
No.
General
Zorg?
Zod.
Zod. I feel like we might need to get a whiteboard up and have all these names written down. I'm not going to remember the names.
Okay.
General Zod. Okay. Does that have a hyphen too?
No, actually.
I mean, no, I wasn't really. I
don't know. Zod. Yeah, what's his second name?
Anyway, General Zod then says to Jor-El that.
Maybe Zod is his second name.
His first name's General.
No. No, but you wouldn't say. Normally you'd say General followed by their second name, wouldn't you? You wouldn't say General Frank.
I mean,
you'd say General.
I mean, they're from another planet. They might not follow our norms in the way that in the UK we use first name, second name.
Yes, exactly. But anyway,
right.
I'm just wondering if it's I think it's probably second name.
Okay, I'm going to continue now.
Okay.
So General Zod, it's getting really difficult trying to remember all the names. It feels like I'm playing that memory game, you know, where you have to remember everything that's on the tray.
Okay, run them past me just one time maybe if you want.
No, it's fine. Okay. Right, General Zod turns to Jor-El after the sort of the hoopy things, which I thought were really cool, fall down and says, why don't you join me, Jor-El? And Jor-El kind of hesitates a little bit. And I'm like, ooh, what's Jor-El's game? And I thought there was going to be a big arc in his character. Do you like, I used a movie term there.
Yes.
There was going to be some sort of turning of him towards the rebellion or whatever was happening. So I was a bit confused by his character. I actually thought he was a baddie. I thought Jor-El was a baddie.
But you do know after watching Man of Steel and Superman 78, given that a lot of the storyline or the main plots of both those movies are similar or the same in some parts, you remember that in both movies Jor-El had an issue with like the leadership of Krypton.
Yes.
Do you remember the issue?
Yes, they had. Oh my gosh, this feels like a test now. They had the Kryptonians basically had colonized lots of different planets and had drained them of all the resources, or maybe used terraforming to change the planet so that they could colonize it. They basically were just on a rampage and taking away other people's planets. They do not sound like a good race. Sound parasitic, very similar to what's happening here on planet Earth, I would say. So that's what I think. And then also what was happening was that it happened so much and the resources had gone down so much that somehow, and I don't know why this happened, the planet was about to explode. I thought that was quite convenient.
Right. I don't know how much they were just terraforming randomly. I think the terraforming was they were trying to find planets that they could escape to. I think Krypton is their own planet, and they were trying to find planets that they could go and live on, but for some reason they were struggling to do that.
Why did the planet explode?
Right. Do you not remember the thing about the sun and everything? It was something like the sun was getting too close or something.
No.
Like, do you not remember in the first one that you see like literally you see like a big sun getting bigger and bigger, and then next minute the planet's blowing up.
Was that not the planet blowing up, getting bigger and bigger?
No, the actual sun looked bigger and bigger on the screen as it got nearer the time.
But that doesn't make any sense because I remember saying how they needed the sunlight for their strength, and so if the sun was getting closer, there'd be more sunlight, so they'd be stronger. I don't understand.
So
I thought the first movie, that opening thing, I really didn't understand what was going on. Second version, Man of Steel, explained it much better to me.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with that. Although I'm not sure. I think the point is you don't really have to know too much, because I think in both movies they're just wanting to get to the main story about Superman. But I think what I understood is like that when you're talking about General Zod and how he was trying to get Jor-El to join him, I think that was because he knew that Jor-El had issues with the government or whatever you would call them as well.
Mm-hmm.
His issues seemed to be mainly to do with the fact that he was warning them that the planet was going to blow up, and they weren't. For some reason, they didn't believe him, despite them being an advanced race and having all this.
It's like some people don't believe in the climate crisis, you know.
Yeah, I know. Maybe something like that. Anyway, so let's get to what happens next. So, I think we might as well just talk about Man of Steel and Superman 78 at the same time.
Oh gosh, you're now going to really push me.
Well, that's fine. I'll remind you. So, I think that if you look at the general plot of the movies, actually, Superman 1 and Superman 2 are like the story of Man of Steel, because Superman 1 is about Superman, how he gets to Earth, him growing up, come to terms with his powers, getting a job at Daily Planet, and then somehow having to use his powers to save people and the Earth. And Superman 2 is more about Lois and Superman and the relationship, and also General Zod and his pals coming to Earth to try and take over the Earth, because they've always wanted to rule. In Man of Steel, they kind of put those two stories together into one movie.
Mm-hmm.
So they've got the bit about him, how he gets to Earth. They've got a little bit about him growing up as Superman, coming to terms with his powers, but that's more presented in flashbacks. But then both movies have Superman working at the Daily Planet. Both movies have Lois Lane. Both movies, or both Superman 1 and 2 and Man of Steel, have General Zod coming to the planet and Superman having to deal with that. Also, they have something about Superman learning about who he really is. So in Christopher Reeve Superman goes to what do they call it? The Crystal Palace or something? Not Crystal Palace, the Ice Palace, or the
dome thing.
Where he goes to speak to his dad, and then in Man of Steel it's in a spaceship, but it's the same idea. He sees a recording or some sort of version of his dad that he speaks to, and he tells him who he is. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
That happens in both, and then at the end of Superman 2, he has to fight Zod and his pals. And then the Man of Steel, he has to fight Zod and his pals.
Mm-hmm.
So there are a lot of similarities with the plot and everything there.
Yeah.
So we can talk about both and compare a little bit about how they both dealt with certain things.
Okay. Well, in that case, can we start off with baby Superman? So in Man of Steel, I thought, it was so cool that when she was giving birth but there was these like metal round things that reminded me of those, you'll remember the name of them. They had little like steel pins in them, and you could put your hand on them to make a shape, or like put your face on to make a shape. That's what it reminded me of. So she actually had her baby, and I thought that was really quite interesting sci-fi, from a sci-fi point of view, in that, and you find this out later, that actually natural births hadn't happened in hundreds of years, and actually they were prohibited, and actually the babies were born in this like birth poddy thing. I can't remember what it was called.
Yeah.
You know, under the water in these little poddy things, and I thought that was actually kind of like, there could be a whole story there, right? It's like that, and each were like worker bees. Each one was born for a purpose.
Well, that reminded me of Brave New World. In Brave New World, they have this idea that the babies all born some sort of like factory thing, and they're designed to be, they're genetically created to fill a need in society for like, you know, different for different roles.
But that was pretty sci-fi. I thought that was really cool.
I thought that was also, when it comes to General Zod, made his character more interesting as well, because in the early movies, General Zod is just kind of a bad guy that wants to rule. Maybe got something in common with Jor-El in the fact that he doesn't like the government, but apart from that, he just likes being a bad guy.
Yeah.
Whereas the other one, he actually had kind of understandable motives in that he'd been brought up to be a general. He'd been raised to be a general.
He'd been programmed to serve and to look after Krypton. Yeah.
Well, the Krypton people particularly.
Yeah.
And so his whole thing was like, his number one reason for doing anything was, his priority was to save and protect the Kryptonians. Yeah. So for him, this idea to put like another planet's needs or people's needs first, he just was like, yeah, I get you, but no. I know. Kryptonians come first.
I feel like you could do like a sort of dissertation on General Zod's motives.
Yeah, maybe. So anyway, after that he gets to, so both ones he gets to Earth.
Oh no, wait, you have skipped over.
Oh, what have I skipped over?
Well, in Superman 1, we have to talk about the huge hazard that was there at the beginning. The little baby surrounded by all the glass.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, that did not look comfortable. At least in Man of Steel, it looked a little bit more homey. You know, it had a kind of IKEA lighting sense to it. It was kind of like soft lighting, curved edges in Man of Steel.
Being comfortable, I thought one thing that was kind of funny was that in the older Superman movie, everything is white, everything's like black or white or silver or clear, apart from his baby blanket, which just happens to be red, yellow, and blue, the colour of Superman's costume.
Oh my word! It stuck out like a sore thumb. I mean, that took me away from the scene. Took me out of the scene, because I just looked at that blanket and I was like, oh, I think I might have something like that. I mean, it looked like it was bought from like Toys R Us or something.
I don't know, that looked homemade almost.
I mean, it was awful. And oh, I just remember something.
What?
So I was actually quite proud that I noticed this, but I don't know if you can explain this or not. The S, we find out in actually Man of Steel, I think, doesn't mean Superman. It's actually sign for hope. But did you notice that on Krypton, all the Kryptonians, they all have different signs?
Yes.
That blew my mind.
See, I don't know why in either movie they feel the need to do that. I feel like I wouldn't have gone. I feel like Man of Steel's done that because in Superman 78 they also did that. So they had Jor-El wearing some sort of symbol in his chest. Everyone had symbols. I feel like they didn't need to do that for any of them. I feel like it's kind of silly, and that takes me out. That makes me think.
Why is it silly?
Because it's supposed to be an S, and it's supposed to be an S for Superman. I feel like what would be a better origin of the S would be like, you know, like in Spider-Man, they have him when he first discovers his powers, and then he makes his own suit, and it's just like a blue hoodie and red trousers and stuff.
Yeah.
And then eventually he becomes more like, okay, I'm going to be Spider-Man properly, makes a better suit and everything.
Yeah, he gets a bit professional looking, yeah.
I feel like Superman could be the same. He could just be doing super stuff, and then everyone gets to know him, and they call him Superman, and he goes, right, I'm going to make a suit with S on the front so everyone knows who I am. I feel like that'd be more believable.
But Superman isn't about his ego, so I don't think he would have called himself Superman and put a big S on. I think that's a part of it. It means hope.
But I'm saying that, look, I like the hope part because for me Superman has always represented hope in that he is all about doing the right thing or trying to do the right thing and stopping people doing the wrong thing. And hope is that, like, I guess the hope is that we can all do the right thing as much as possible. And if we all do the right thing, then, you know, there'll be less problems in the world and things will get better in the future. So I like the hope thing. I just feel like, why make up this sort of story about the S on the chest when the real reason he has an S in his chest because the people that made Superman, created Superman as a character, put an S in his chest for Superman.
But wait, have you read all the comics? Because you don't know. The Kryptonians might all have these different symbols and that's actually something that's already part of the story.
I've not read all the comics.
So
I've read the first ones.
I like the attention to detail. It mixed up the scene a little bit. Otherwise, it was just black and white everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not bothered about the colours much, but I think it's a bit weird how it never really explain why the only colour on the entire planet that we see is like his blanket.
Yeah, it really, really stands out. But yeah, all that glass around the baby, I was like, oh.
Yeah, I didn't really think about that, but I just assumed that, like, first of all, you don't know it's glass. And
Well, it sounded like glass.
Yeah, well, it was obviously it was probably glass and, well, it's probably perspex or something. Anyway.
Still not that safe for a baby.
No. But anyway, he was fine. He didn't get cut by the glass.
Can I say something? What I really liked is that when baby Kal-El went in to be blasted to Earth, it wasn't in some, you know, metal button flashing light kind of spaceship, you know, like the flying disc saucer thing, which they could have done.
Man of Steel was like a spaceship.
That would have been really kind of like kitsch.
Man of Steel was kind of like a spaceship.
Well, just let me finish. But in this one, first Superman, it was more like it was almost like an organic form it made. It was almost like a living thing that he was inside.
It was like a sea anemone.
Yeah, sea anemone, that was it.
Yeah.
I was going to say starfish, but that was wrong.
Yeah, it was weird how it was kind of like a spiky thing.
I liked it. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, I liked it as well, actually, to be fair. Yeah, I liked it too.
Yeah.
I preferred it to the other one, which just looked like just a blob.
Yeah.
Basically.
We didn't talk about one of the most scary bits in that opening section.
I feel like we should move on from the opening section quite soon. Otherwise, we'll be here for like 5 hours.
I know, but...
Okay, sorry. Go on for it.
Well, it was the bit that when I watched it, it gave me a flashback to when I must have seen it when I was young, and I had nightmares about this scene.
Right.
Can you guess what one it is?
Are we still in the very first 10 minutes of the movie?
Yes. This is going to be a long podcast, folks. No, it's not. It was really interesting, the first bit. It had an impression on me. I have a lot to say about it.
Something scary. Are
Yes.
we talking about 78 Superman or Man of Steel?
78 Superman.
Something scary in the first. This is not to do with Zod or the
Yes,
government.
it's to do with Zod.
Ah, okay. Oh, the fact they get stuck in a mirror.
Absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, I remember finding that a bit freaky. Not so this, I wouldn't say terrifying, but I remember thinking that did stick in my head. When I was younger
Turning,
as well.
slipping through face. That was freaky. Freaky.
Yeah.
Freaky.
It was freaky. The fact that they're kind of shouting as well as they're flying through space. No, help us, no.
Yeah.
Also, it was a bit weird though, because they go from like, you know, kind of like F you, and then suddenly they're like, help us, please. It's like, wait a minute, that was a bit of a quick flip going from like, really scared of you, and suddenly like.
But they were just being like tied into some sort of mirror and spinning through space for eternity.
Yeah.
One thing, yes, I am still on the early scenes, but What was the high?
God.
What was the
I
high?
might need to.
What was the high vis
the top
about?
up.
What was the high vis about? They had these like bright high vis jackets on. I've got a running jacket like it.
I know, but in those days, high vis was probably pretty high tech.
It was actually to me. It kind of bleached the film a bit. Like it was too bright. There was no detail in it. But anyway,
I think I wonder if it's like, because a lot has been said about how Superman's like a sort of Jesus-like character, you know, or a God-like character. You know, how
like the Messiah.
He's sent to Earth, and there's a lot of chat from both in older and newer movies. There's a lot of chat from Jor-El about how he's going to be a god amongst them. Like his role is to look after them and make them better people. You know, that's very similar to like the God and Jesus.
Yeah,
story,
I think
right?
in the second one they even
stories.
had, because they showed you clips of like news reports and newspaper headlines and stuff. I think that's what they did.
So I'm
believe he
wondering.
was.
So with what you're saying about the brightness and everything, I wonder if they're going for like a kind of, you know, heaven-like sort of vibe.
Oh.
You know, everything's white, everything's shiny, everything's bright, like they're up in heaven, you know. Almost.
Yeah. And all the cool glass stuff.
Like maybe they're implying that Jesus really was Superman, and you know how like.
Oh, let's not get into religion.
No, I'm not going to get into religion, but like the idea of like this person with superior powers that's trying to change the world for a better place and help people be better, and I mean that's, you know,
And he was very unselfish and all that kind of thing.
yeah.
Okay.
And you could argue a lot of our morals that we have now are related to our religious history, you know. So
yeah, like
I think it's good to. I think it's important to mention the similarities, because I think in both movies there's quite a lot of, like, I was wanting to mention still in the first 10 minutes.
Oh my god.
Maybe it's the first 20 minutes. It does go on for a while. Some of the things that he says about his son. He says he will never be alone, and then he's talking about how.
Sorry, hold on a second. He will never be alone. He's about to send him in a pod into space.
I know, but he's talking about how he's putting his, you know, like the memory stick of his soul into the thing, and like how he'll be there, and then he goes, the son becomes the father, and the father becomes the son, because he's talking about how he'll give him all his knowledge, but then he'll have more knowledge eventually than he has.
That's very Bible sounding, I have to say.
Yeah, well, that's the first
I
movie.
do not know other religious scripts. I only know that from Sunday school as a child.
What else have I got in my notes here? How the
You need your glasses on, by the way.
How the Kryptonians didn't believe or suspect that the sun was going to get too close, even though it was right next to them. but maybe that wasn't the reason, like you said. It says there's not much, talking about the effects, I put how there doesn't seem to be much sign of life on Krypton. It's just basically like total sparse, like ice planet or something.
Yeah.
And then there's one dome with people in it, and it doesn't. You don't. Whereas that's one thing with Man of Steel. It showed a more
complex
rich,
society
with animals and people and buildings and babies and army and all this sort of, and different modes of transport. Like they tried to flesh out a bit more.
Yeah, definitely in the first one it just felt like you were in someone's living room, really. Auntie Rita's party or something.
What else have I got here? Okay, then I'm skipping on to probably my notes going to where now he's back on Earth. So we're going back to the 78 movie.
Yeah.
And he's gone through his space journey with all the, you know, Wikipedia getting he's basically spent his entire life listening to
Oh yes.
like facts about
Yes.
the galaxy and
Yeah.
everything.
Okay.
So it's like it's never obviously explained, but it's like he's basically learnt all this stuff through osmosis just from this like
Just been
tape
spoken
playing.
to 24/7 for like 5 years.
Yeah, or longer, because it's like because he says something about how when he's on his planet, I think this is in Superman 2, that really, even though on Earth Superman's like 20 something,
Mhm.
really it was thousands of years ago that he left Krypton or something.
Oh.
Yeah, so who knows the
Really?
science, but yeah, it says something about that. Like,
Well, that makes that opening scene with the Daily Planet even more confusing then.
hi?
Because that was supposed to be around the Great Depression time, so like 1930s or something. So at least I thought that scene meant that was what was happening in planet Earth time. But then what was happening up in Krypton time was the baby being put in the pods. And
You thought that they were just showing that black and white bit to show what was happening in Earth, to show that like what happened in Krypton was in 1938.
I was trying to make sense of it. I didn't understand why they had that bit at the beginning.
I think it was just to have, like you said, a homage to the original comic book. I don't
Okay.
think it was like setting the scene for, just so you know, this is 1938. Meanwhile, on Krypton,
So does that mean that if it took Superman thousands of years, FYI, did not pick up on that from either movie, does that mean that he will age much slower on Earth than all other humans?
well, this is what I was trying to say. I don't know the science behind it, but I just noticed in thinking Superman 2 that he says,
I love you don't know the science behind it.
well, there isn't really science behind it. There
It's like
never
you
is.
don't know the story, not the science.
Well, he's referring to some scientific fact of the he made the recording thousands of years ago,
Okay,
or a long time ago, not just like 20 years ago,
right, okay.
implying that like
It's not a scientific
so
fact.
all he's
again.
all I got from that was like, you know, he traveled through space across time.
In
so-
his giant sea enemy.
And so he talking about all the messages and education that he got, it would have been over a longer period of time than like, you know, how old is he when he arrives? You know, like
3,
5 or 3 or
4.
yeah.
That first bit. I think I whooped a couple of times in this movie, and that was one of the bits where he comes out of the little spacecraft. I also appreciated that they didn't like clothe him, because that wouldn't be accurate. I mean, I was really glad he did come out covered in his own shit and piss, because
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
like
actually.
what would happen with all that?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's why they made it look organic. It was almost like supposed to be like a
Well,
womb.
this is why there isn't. The science is very flimsy, because I mean,
There's no science.
How does
yet
a
again.
baby, even an alien baby, eat? I mean, does his digestion just like stop for the whole time? What does he eat? Where does he go to the toilet? How does he go to the toilet? You know, so there's a lot of questions. But anyway,
There's a lot of questions.
so let's go. Let's just skip
When
now.
wait, when he lifts the car, that was a da-da-da moment.
It was, and I have to say, the next sort of 20 minutes, half an hour of the movie, as him with his parents, adopted parents on Earth, growing up. That's probably my favorite bit of the whole 7 to 8 movie. I just feel, I don't know what is it like about it. I like the pacing of it. It's got a real sort of Sunday afternoon movie pace to it. I like the whole kind of like discovering his powers. I thought it was they start putting some interesting points about how his character developing. How they do this in Man of Steel as well, actually, about how him being different, even when he's hiding it, he's treated like a freak and he's bullied and everything, which is you know, which is what humans do to people, which is one of the horrible things about human nature, is this natural tendency to bully people that are different, or to push people out of a group because they seem different. And so I like that, how it establishes him, that even though he's this amazing person with his amazing abilities and he's been brought up, it seems, by his adopted parents with like good, a good life, secure, happy home life, and they're teaching him morals and how to be a good person, and so that's a lot of where he gets his sort of goodness from. And then that clashes with how he's treated by society or people at school or whatever. So I like that. I thought that was interesting. You can see like how he's developing part of this. It's not just his dad telling him be a good guy and show everyone. It's like part of it's his upbringing that's taught him that. His upbringing has taught him the morals. His upbringing has taught him how people perceive differences. His upbringing has taught him the bad side of human nature and how people can be cruel and how to deal with that. When to suck it up and when to stand up for yourself, and he's learning all this growing up. So I really liked all that side of it.
Yeah. I think it sets the bit for like the character, which basically Clark Kent is, right? Particularly in the first one, with this sort of real sort of bumbling character, and it's definitely like an act that he's putting on. So I wonder, and that was a lot from his dad, right? Like about keeping it hidden because he didn't want him to be treated differently, experimented on by the government.
Yeah. Also because they know just how cruel people are, and they didn't want him to be.
Yeah. There's a lot in the Superman world which is about sort of the ugly side of humanity. Like a lot, that is a big strong thing in there.
But what's interesting though is he always wants to save people as well. He's trying to save because although he sees how cruel humans can be, he also sees how great humans can be.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he wouldn't really care about saving them.
Yeah.
He would be a baddie himself. Just like, I'm just gonna, the ones I don't like, I'll just kill them off, and the ones I do like, I'll keep them as pets or something. He's like he actually genuinely.
I don't think we'd call him Superman then.
Well, exactly. Anyway, I liked all this the stuff in Smallville where he grows up.
Was that where it's called, Smallville?
Yeah.
Isn't there a TV series called that?
Yeah.
Is that supposed to be about like Superman growing up?
Yeah.
Really? I
Yeah.
kind of want to watch that now.
Yeah, no, I was thinking it would be good actually. I thought that after watching this again recently.
Because I was just thinking they should make a prequel of Superman, but they've done it with Smallville.
Yeah, in a way, yeah. So, and then another interesting sort of part to notice that's like foreshadowing of what's to come in the movie is how he can't save his dad.
So sad.
From getting the heart attack. Now, in the old one, it's a heart attack, and the newer one,
He gets hit by a tornado.
yeah, and it's slightly different. There's slightly different foreshadowing. In the old one, the foreshadowing is how, with all the superpowers, he wasn't able to stop his dad having a heart attack.
Yeah.
In the newer one, it's with all his powers, he couldn't save his dad because he didn't want to show his powers.
His dad
didn't
doesn't want him to show his powers. Yeah.
So,
Both those scenes were so sad.
So in the first one, I guess it's more like eventually he realizes he can just turn back time, but we'll go into that later. And the second one, it's more about how he's not going to hide his powers anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, but both of them are kind of tipping points in the movie, right? It's when they then make a decision to actually lean into their differences and how they are different, and to find out about their history, and that's when they go off on their journeys to try and find the place it's calling them, which is basically the spaceship or the palace, depending on what movie you're watching, with his dad, sort of hologram consciousness ghost in it.
How you know how I said that that bit, all the bit in Smallville, was kind of my favorite part of Superman 1, of Superman 78, I should say. Did you feel the same way? How did you enjoy that?
No, I much preferred the Man of Steel one.
No, I mean of just Superman 78.
Uh-huh.
Was that one of your favorite parts, or did you prefer the later part of the movie?
No, I like that bit, but I kind of liked the when we get to actually like Clark Kent, because I was trying to figure out how he got from baby alien boy, to Clark Kent. I kind of like the comedy that was in there. And you know, it was Christopher Reeves that made that, right? Like, how could he express these two different characters, well, same character, two different personas so well? Like, Clark Kent really came across as this like really lovely but quite like really gullible guy. And again, that's kind of bullying, which we saw when he was growing up, was still there. Because wasn't there a bit where someone had shaken the fizzy water and then they gave it to Clark to open it because they couldn't open it, and then he all got covered in the he got all wet, and then he was like, oh, but nobody would try and make somebody else look silly. You know, he was pretending to be really, really gullible, that he didn't see the bad side of humanity.
Okay, so let's jump to after he's grown up.
Mm-hmm.
So in Superman 78, you know, you've had half an hour of him being discovered on planet Earth and growing up as a teenager in Smallville. And in Man of Steel, you get that through flashbacks. But eventually you get to the similar point of his life where he's, I don't know, early 20s, and in Superman 78, he's arriving to work at the Daily Planet.
Yeah.
And that's where you're talking about his character is Clark Kent.
Yeah. He's kind of this really geeky, lacks confidence, green, I think that's how people would describe.
Yeah, naive, yeah.
Naive, but really sweet, you know, and this sort of real sort of gullible personality.
Yeah, I think that's something that Henry Cavill's got, but I think Christopher Reeve has got even more, is just pure likability. Like,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but it was a little bit comical. Like, it was just a different way to portray it. Like, it was very comical the way he was acting and being. It really did remind me of some of those other kind of 70s films. And maybe it was because of the dress. You know, everyone was wearing their suits, and there was in the sort of, is it New York?
Well, it's
office.
It's not New York. It's Metropolis, which people say is based on New York.
Okay.
In Man of Steel, it was actually New York.
How was it?
Didn't they have something about the? Or no, maybe it was. No, it's not. In Man of Steel, it was Metropolis as well. But I'm sure there was something about the Empire State Building.
Maybe it was just filmed in New York.
Anyway, so yeah. So did you like the Clark Kent of Superman 78?
Yeah.
Right.
I like them both.
What did you think of the Clark Kent of Man of Steel?
He was hot.
More hot than Christopher Reeve?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I kind of liked the. It did again. Like, I preferred Man of Steel. Just gonna say it. I preferred it.
You should probably wait to the end before you say that.
Compared to Superman 2. It was just kind of felt more real, you know? I liked it.
Well, I'm not going to tell you what I thought because I'd rather say that to the end.
Okay, we'll save your reveal to the end. I'm just going to get mine out there.
Okay, well, I might edit.
They both felt like very.
That
They both felt like just really, really. They were just both very different movies for different times.
Yes. But apart from him being hot, what did you think about the character choices in the way it was written, in the way it was portrayed in Man of Steel?
Okay.
With Clark Kent. Just Clark Kent.
With Man of Steel with Clark Kent. In Man of Steel, he was a little bit more like messed up, I suppose. He was messed up. Like, he didn't really know. Troubled.
Yeah.
He didn't know who he was. He felt out of place. He didn't know where he'd come from. He didn't know why his true mother and father had abandoned him. And I think that kind of trauma, you know, being an alien on another planet, abandoned by your parents, and being different from everyone, would have an impact. So,
but he did have a really good upbringing in both movies.
I know, but you remember this scene before his dad died? The last thing he said to him was something like, "You're not my dad."
Yeah, but that's just because typical not very nice thing that a kid might say to his parents when he's annoyed. That doesn't necessarily mean that's what he was thinking.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, yes, he had a good and nice upbringing in both of them. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the way that Clark Kent internalized that actual trauma was much more real to me in Man of Steel.
Yeah, but I didn't like it because I felt like, yeah, in the first one it was more like, yeah, he was different, yeah, he knew he was an alien, but he'd had such a good solid upbringing by his parents, adopted parents, that he didn't feel troubled because that had balanced out any kind of issues they might have. Just so he was a confident, and that's how you knew the whole Clark Kent thing was an act, because you knew he was a confident guy. Like, when as soon as he turns into Superman, he's totally confident. When he's, I guess maybe that's the difference with Man of Steel, that he's not he's kind of not confident in any way. Somehow, maybe he's more troubled not just by the fact that he's an alien, but also the fact that he didn't save his dad, whereas that wasn't an issue in the first one.
Yeah.
Because his dad died of natural causes in the first one, where his dad, he was like, I could have saved him.
Yeah.
And
well, that's a big burden.
So exactly. So I think that, but then they added that in. I don't think that was from any comic books. They added it in, and I guess. And I felt like Clark Kent in Man of Steel was basically the same guy as Superman. There was no difference. Whereas in the Christopher Reeve Superman, it was always very much like more like the traditional comics, where one was like a alter ego and had to be really different from what he was really like, because otherwise people would suspect. If he was going about super confident, and then people might go, wait a minute, that guy. Whereas because he was so over the top, humble and naive and clumsy and all those things, that he was the last person people would think would be Superman.
Mm-hmm.
I preferred that because for me it was more interesting. I liked that contrast of like how he was able to, he felt that was a better way to be in the human world, and then when he was Superman, then he could be Superman. But when he wasn't Superman, he was better that he didn't act too cool, basically, or too confident.
Supermanish.
Yeah. Whereas in the other one, in Man of Steel, he's kind of the same guy.
I prefer that, though.
He's troubled as Superman. He's troubled as Clark Kent. He's hot as Superman. He's hot as Clark Kent.
I preferred it.
Yeah, I know, but to me, I didn't like it so much.
No, to me that's really interesting. That's really interesting that you think it's less interesting. I just preferred it felt more like based in kind of reality. Like, that's what it would really be like if an alien came to Earth, abandoned or saved, but he doesn't know that, by their parents, and then just being so different, having these, like the being able to pick up sound from ages away, but then all the discomfort, the being able to see in X-ray vision.
Yeah, that was cool.
Like, that whole beginning part, especially with the noise.
Yeah.
I was like, that's what it's like being autistic.
Yeah.
All you hear is the fucking noise everywhere, and he almost
trying to swear we're doing a podcast.
No, why can't I swear?
Well, because then you have to put on this 18 or something, or explicit language and stuff like that.
Oh, okay, fine. You can bleep me out. You know, he's like hiding in the cupboards to get away from everyone because he was so overwhelmed. Like, to me, that was a much more real portrayal of what it would be like.
Yeah, I guess it comes down to taste as well, because you know people have said that about the newer Star Wars movies. You obviously, I'm a massive Star Wars fan. My favorite movie of all time is the original Star Wars from '77. Massive Star Wars fan all my life. But one of the gripes that people had with the newer Star Wars movies was that, bombs wouldn't sink in space, spaceships wouldn't make noises, people would all this and that wouldn't happen really, and I really have no time for that, because I'm thinking for me the only important part of any movie really, or the most important part, is the story. And if the story makes sense, that's fine. You don't, all the little details of how things would work, I'm not so interested in.
Well, I'm not talking about like what something explodes like and if it defies physics or time-space theory. I'm talking what is part of the story. It's the character of the story. Their beginning, their evolution into the people that they're going to be. I think it's a really important detail.
For me, I know, and for me, what I like about the 78 Superman is that the coming to terms with his powers wasn't really a thing. And I like the fact that he wasn't troubled. I like the fact that he had this solid upbringing, and he was a happy person, and that the only trouble he had was other people's problems. I wasn't so interested in seeing him like struggling with his own powers, to be honest.
I feel like, is that because maybe this film to you maybe like reminds you of your own childhood? So the idea of seeing this like really like blissful, happy household, good strong people, like did it remind you of like your gran and grandpas or something?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So there was something like that. There was something about like nostalgic for you in watching that, maybe.
No, I don't think it was because I liked that part of the movie because it reminded me of being at my gran and grandpa's when I was wee. It was more that I liked the concept of the story concept of him just being like a happy child, and then having to go out into the real world where people don't appreciate you just being a happy person.
No, people don't value happiness.
And I liked his main struggle being other people having a problem, just want to be a nice guy. I like that being a struggle. I didn't really want him to have this internal conflict with feeling guilty about not saving his dad, and like, not knowing where he came from and having to deal with the fact that he's a freak. I didn't really like, a little bit of that, and in the story, but I didn't really. I guess just in general didn't like I don't really like movies, certain types of movies, particularly fantasy movies, and I would consider Star Wars a fantasy movie, not a sci-fi movie, because sci-fi movies tend to be rooted in science and stuff. That's why they're called sci-fi. Whereas like Star Wars is more of a fantasy movie, really. And I just like and I think superheroes are like fantasy movies as well, and I just prefer them to be more fantastical, as in not realistic. I think you can still have strong, solid stories that you can relate to in a fantastical world. I just don't like them being too realistic, and I felt, in general, I prefer the older movies just because they were more colourful and less realistic.
So that's so interesting.
It
doesn't surprise me that we both prefer different movies.
Did you not notice to be fair, you also love like Annie, so I mean. I
did love Annie.
Right. But anyway,
that was
I'm just saying,
a very long time ago.
I'm just pointing out that not all the movies you like are like rooted in reality and gritty dramas.
What's my favourite type of movie since I've been growing up?
Okay, but we're going out of tangent.
Disaster movies.
Okay, but they're not also that realistic always either.
I disagree.
Okay, so let's go back to Superman.
Superman.
So anyway, you preferred the Clark Kent being more just like. Basically, he wasn't putting on an act in Man of Steel.
Yeah.
I liked him putting on the act. That added some sort of like comedy value to it, and also the fact that you knew he was putting on this act. It was symbolic of how he was kind of like he felt superior to humans in that he could trick them, and he knew he could kick all their asses if he wanted to.
But he's not like that deep down. He doesn't have an ego. He wouldn't ever think like that.
Well, I've not finished what I was saying.
Okay.
I like the fact that he knew that he was tricking them all into like, and he was putting on this act for a reason. I've lost my train of thought now. I liked how I think it showed how although he knew he was superior in many ways, and not in a kind of egotistical way, just a matter of fact. He was superior to them in pretty much every way.
Yeah.
He was more intelligent, stronger, everything. And he knew that. And I liked the fact that in order to not freak them out or not, and because he didn't have an ego, he would put on this act as a sort of way of like fitting in a way that didn't piss anyone off. Didn't step on anyone's toes, because he realised that like that's what people don't like. People don't like people. What's the one kind of person that never gets any hassle from anyone at work or in life is the person that just kind of like always says sorry, makes out there's crap at everything, basically totally non-threatening. Yeah. And tells everyone how great they are. That's what people want. Yeah. If people are slightly threatened or slightly jealous or whatever, nobody was going to be jealous of Clark Kent. Nobody was threatened by Clark Kent. There was nothing interesting about Clark Kent. He deliberately created this character so that it wouldn't create any enemies with Clark Kent. Even though he knew that if he was Superman, everyone would want to be up against him. So I like that about the Clark Kent persona that you put on. I thought it made it interesting. Whereas just being the same guy, I thought took away a whole dimension of who Superman was. Well,
we both are entitled to our different opinions. Do you know what was really weird, or it wasn't weird, interesting, was the way that the Clark Kent Lois Lane relationship was so different between the two movies.
Lois Lane, that's a good talking point.
Now they're so different, the way that relationship.
I really didn't like either Lois Lane, I have to say.
Yeah. Why not?
Okay, first one, because there was nothing like I the whole time. I remember even thinking this as a child before I was old enough to have any interest in the opposite sex or anything. Even as a child, I was aware of like, why does Superman like her so much? Not only does she not seem that good looking,
you cannot say that.
Well, I'm just talking about my perception as a child.
Okay.
Right? She didn't seem like beautiful or anything. She didn't, and her personality wasn't that interesting or attractive either. I just was like, why is Superman so into her? And then the new one, in Man of Steel, similar. I would say she was more pretty, more beautiful.
Fine. You can't comment on people's looks.
I'm just saying you can from your own point of view. I'm not saying
fine.
she is definitely prettier.
Okay.
That's the way my perception of
it.
Okay. She's still like. For me, there was not that much about her personality that was that attractive either.
But I really like the fact that the two of them were women working in this usually like male-dominated environment, completely unthreatened, super confident, super ambitious and motivated. Like they were really, I really liked both the characters. I love the first movie where she was like so confident that Clark Kent was actually Superman, that she chucked herself out the window. I mean, it was a bit scary.
That was in Superman 2. Actually.
Was that in Superman 2?
Yeah.
And she was like, I know it's you. She's like so confident. and then threw herself out the window. And then even after that, later on, she was like, "Oh, but you are, aren't you?" I mean, I loved her. I loved both of them.
You loved her arrogance,
Her
and
tenacity,
her arrogance and stupidity,
her strength
of thinking
But-
that 100% she has to be right, and she's so right. I'm going to test it by throwing myself out the window. That was arrogant and stupid.
Excuse me, Superman did save her. And she was confident.
Well, that's a good point. She was right in the end.
Ha!
But is it smart to just test something by throwing yourself out the window?
She was that certain. I mean, I wouldn't have done it.
I think even from a scientific point of view, with you, the scientific background, I don't think no matter how certain you are of something, I don't think you test it by jumping out a window.
No, it depends what it
20
is.
stories high.
Okay, I mean, there's nothing scientific about Superman again.
Now that it suits your point.
I said that before.
Um,
But it was quite different though, the relationships, right? So in Superman 1 and 2, it was all like Clark Kent trying to hide it all. And then he managed to do everything, even when he got shot by the bullet, remember, in the alley. And you thought,
Yeah.
oh, he's dead, but he actually
Yeah.
catches it in his
I
hand.
love that bit.
And then he almost kind of gets away with it. That Lois doesn't realise it's Superman. Lois. And he almost gets away with it. You think he's all fine. So then he just kind of relaxes a bit, and then he makes a major error by being able to tell her exactly what's in her purse, even though her purse is closed.
Yeah, just like he's got so many powers, he can't help but let some slip now and again.
Yeah. So like a lot of Superman 1 and 2 is really about their relationship and about her finding out about Superman and about her experience with him and his experience with her as well, because he's never been in love with a woman. But it's really quite different in Man of Steel, where she's actually with Superman on the journey. I mean, she's there.
Yeah, so there's no reveal or anything.
There's no
There's no
reveal.
hiding, there's no reveal, there's none of that. Just
No.
get rid of the whole thing.
And their relationship is there, but it's always just kind of in the background a little bit. It's not such it's front and center stage as in Superman 1 and 78 versions.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's one thing I don't like about Superman 78 and Superman 2 is this whole big focus on the relationship with Lois. And like a big part of that might be because I didn't really see what the big attraction was with Lois that he had. And secondly, it just took up way too much of the movie. Like in Superman 78, the whole I liked that when they're first meeting up and she's waiting for him on the balcony. That's quite cool, you know.
Yeah.
I like just the kind of scene of her. That's quite memorable. Of her.
Having a fag.
I mean, again, where's the attraction? What's she wearing? What is she wearing?
That would have been extremely sexy in the 70s.
What do you even call
it was
that?
a negligee.
Is that a negligee?
I don't know.
I
don't know what it was. It was like kind of, what was it? It was a blue dress, right?
It was like
a house robe.
It wasn't quite a house robe, but it was
with her slippers.
If that was her like getting dressed up, because he arrives and goes, "Oh, I didn't think you were going out," like just looking amazing and about to go out. And I'm thinking, again, I'm like, dude, like Superman. I mean, have you been to many parties or something? It's like she's not looking.
He's from Smallville, country bumpkin land.
Yeah, maybe it's Smallville. Maybe for Smallville.
Yeah.
She was looking pretty glamorous, but.
We should probably move on a bit.
That whole we're talking about Lois now. Lois. Yeah, the whole thing about going on the flying and the flight scene with Lois.
When she falls and grabs her.
Even before the falling and grabbing, the going on about, and it was just like, I mean, I think they were trying, apparently the effects for the time were quite impressive, like people thought it really looked like he was flying, apparently.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
I thought it was okay. Apparently at the time people were very impressed by it. So maybe they were just kind of trying to milk that by showing it off. Because I thought the whole flight scene was like a 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, it was too long.
Really?
Do you know what it reminded me of as well?
Peter Pan?
Yes. She looked like Wendy. Their sort of blue nightgown.
Yeah, some
like Peter Pan.
19 or 1850s sort of kids 90s.
Yeah.
Like, that's her getting dressed up to go.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I agree with that. It got a little bit.
And the whole
boring.
monologue of her, I mean, it's
in her head. Oh, what was that?
She goes, "Can you read my mind? Can you read my mind? Like I've just met you, but
The
oh
little
my God.
dreamy voice thing, but that was really
That
dated
was-
to me. That came across as really dated.
Oh, I hate that bit. Like, yeah, I hate that.
Okay, I
whole-
agree with you on this.
Yeah.
A little bit would have been enough. That's it.
I think, like, for example, going back to Man of Steel, there were some cool moments between, like, some of my favorite moments between Superman and Lois is when she follows him.
Yeah.
She's on the site of the alien craft finding.
Yeah.
And she sees like a man going off on his own and at night, and she's like, "What's he up to?" 'Cause she's a reporter.
Yeah.
She goes and it turns out he's going into the spaceship because he's been. Both movies have not really clarified how he finds this place.
No.
Although Man of Steel, he hears the people over talking about
A UFO crash.
so maybe there's that.
That the government's covering up.
Whereas in '78, the
It's
whole
more
crystal and he's like, how does he
No,
even know?
I think he was almost like being called to it by instinct. There must be some sort of pull for him. But yeah, they didn't really explain that.
Yeah, that's the only explanation there is really. But anyway, I like the scene with Lois. She gets attacked by this sort of robot on the ship.
Oh yeah.
And then he's like, "You might be freaked out by this, but I need to," because he realizes he's got the only way he can save her is by revealing his powers.
Yeah.
Which, interestingly, is maybe the first time he's revealed his powers to anybody, other than when he was a kid. Because even that guy in the bar, he doesn't beat him up or anything.
Yeah.
He just
Cafe.
messes up his truck. But,
Yeah.
But like when nobody's looking.
Yeah.
But straight away he's like, the only way I can save her is by revealing my powers, so I'm just warning you.
Because he was triggered by his father's death that you didn't prevent, you see?
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe he just really fancied her. He's
Maybe.
like, she'll be impressed by this. That's as a side note, I do love the way how they visualize the laser eyes in the Man of Steel. The way like you see all the veins more around the eyes and this kind of. Did you notice that?
No, I did not notice that.
Whereas obviously in the old one it's just like they've just superimposed lights over. But yeah, the Lois and Superman thing, I don't know why I don't really like it in either. I just think Lois, I think maybe like you hit the nail on the head about just being too much. For me in both movies, she's just too much of a central character for me. I feel like I'd try to be more about Superman and less about Lois in general.
No, I think the first one and the second one you could definitely say it's a Superman Lois Lane show, but not in Man of Steel. She is in it a lot, but she is a bit more of a like you don't hear her story as much, I suppose. I don't know.
There's always going back. All the stuff with the planet is pretty much her and the boss.
Okay.
All this, and then the aliens take her and Superman. They don't just take Superman.
Yeah, I mean that was never explained. It did just feel like she was, due some more hours working, and so they went, "Oh, we'll just get Lois to come on the spacecraft as well." I didn't understand why she got invited onto the spacecraft.
Yeah, there was probably some reason in the plot, but I can't think what it was. Because they literally said we want her as well. Remember,
Yeah.
the army's like, "No, you're not taking her," and then she goes, "No, I'll go."
Yeah, I didn't really understand that. I felt like she shouldn't have been invited along.
How did she end up going along? In fact, how was she up with the army and stuff? I mean, how would she even be allowed to be there?
I don't know. There was a lot of times where I was like, "There's no way she would be allowed to be
This
there."
is kind of what I'm
Walking
getting
on the
at.
front line where the baddie people are coming down, and she's out there giving Superman a big hug and kiss. Like that wouldn't be allowed.
Well, this is quite kind of what I'm getting at. I think she was in it too much in both movies.
Okay, I maybe agree with you to a certain extent.
One thing we haven't mentioned so far is a character that is in Superman 78 and Superman 2, but doesn't actually appear in the newer Superman movies until Batman v Superman.
Oh, yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. The villain guy. His name is... Wait. I know this. Lester? No.
Mr. Luthor. Mr. Luthor.
Luther.
Anything you want, Mr. Luthor.
Luther. Oh, I know this from Teen Titans.
Lex.
Lex Luthor.
So what did you think of Lex Luthor?
Luthor.
Let's compare the Lex Luthor of the older movies to Lex Luthor of Batman v Superman.
Okay, so the older movies, Lex Luthor was this kind of like fat, overweight. That's the same thing.
I don't think he was overweight.
Okay, but he wasn't. I shouldn't have body shamed. I apologize. I'm going to stop.
But I don't actually think he was overweight either.
Right. Okay. He was this kind of like Del Boy, UK reference, Only Fools and Horses. Sort of criminal, kind of thought he was kind of quite smart, but not quite. Living in this underground flooded railway station, but managing to believe for himself that it was like a palace. Thought he was like super popular.
So he was deluded.
Feared, but he was deluded. So I actually really quite liked that character. It's not what I expected.
Well, they're both deluded in a way.
I thought Lex Luthor was going to be much more scary. Remind me of the Lex Luthor in Batman versus Superman.
He's kind of a bit nuts, and he's like...
Yes, I remember now. Oh, he was good. I like that. I felt like it was maybe taken a little bit too far. In the terms of Batman versus Superman, like I got the kind of crazy, that was really good, but it got a little bit Silence of the Lambsy. I mean, nobody was eating, there was no blood spilled, but there was something that felt he just like had gone a bit too crazy, and I was concerned for his safety. So, yeah, they were both portrayed like in extremely different ways, actually. I think I liked both of them. I kind of like, there was something nice, and this is a nostalgic bit, I suppose. In the original Superman movies, it was this idea of this lair. It was kind of quite James Bondy. They had to get in through the train tunnel with the secret door. That was quite like that, and I liked Lex Luthor's kind of sidekick, I suppose. Who'd go like, what was his say? Like, hey, Mr. Luther. Okay, I'm not doing it justice, but that was quite comedic as well. Reminded me, it was a little bit sort of Home Alone-y, bit slapstick.
Yeah, the idiot sidekick was a bit grating, I thought, after a while. But so if you had to pick one Lex Luthor, which Lex Luthor did you prefer? The one from Man of Steel?
Yes, I prefer the Lex Luthor from Man of Steel.
Because?
He
was more realistic.
He was more realistic, but there was something there was something more edgy about him, you know?
Oh, but it was annoying. He was something really annoying, and not just like, oh, he's a baddie, but just irritating about him. Do you not find that?
No.
I think we did say you thought it was a bit over the top.
I thought it was a little bit overacted near the end. It felt a little bit overacted to me.
I felt overacted the whole time to be, but yeah, definitely even more so near the end of Batman v Superman. But it just
it was Silence of the Lambs. It was, you could almost hear him going.
Yeah, or if you're thinking of a comic book reference, he was almost like he was going too much into sort of Joker territory, where he'd like have little jokes that only he found funny and stuff. I don't know. I didn't like what he did with Lex Luthor. I don't think it was similar to the comics either. He just like Lex Luthor in the comics is just his whole, and I think they reference it in in Superman 78. He makes some reference out like the great battle, Superman versus Lex Luthor, brains versus brawn, or mind versus muscle or something.
Okay.
And so that's always been his thing. Like that's how he fights Superman, is with being really smart. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't meant to be like a joke that he was smart, although it did seem like a joke in some parts, like when he's looking up in his tiny wee library, personal library he's got, and he's looking up. Remember, he's up on the ladder.
Yeah.
And the Wally, what's his name? He's like trying to get the ladder for him and stuff. But this whole time, what he's basically doing is looking up stuff about meteorites, because he's already worked out that if he gets a bit of kryptonite, he'll be able to weaken Superman. And I feel like that's a bit of a leap in this movie.
Yes.
How smart he is. From reading a couple of articles, maybe Lois has had...
In Britannic Encyclopedia.
Yeah.
Under M for meteorite.
Yeah, and then suddenly he's like, that's it. And then before we know it, he's suddenly got guys to go to Ethiopia or wherever it was to get this meteorite, bring it back. There's a lot of leaps of
that character portrayed in the older Superman did not come across as super brain
But that's
smart.
what I mean. Maybe I don't think it was necessarily Gene Hackman's performance, because Gene Hackman, he comes across as someone you wouldn't want to mess with. He comes across as quite smart to me. It's just parts of the plot you're like, really he worked that out. Like, you don't see him working. Maybe if they'd shown him reading an article and then joining the dots and working it all out,
it needed a little bit more subtext to it.
Yeah.
But that's where Man of Steel, you really believed that he was a real sort of brainiac, right? Like you didn't, just because was he not in there were not in labs and things, and the way he'd go on these big sort of
because he did
monologues, you know, even though some of them got a bit erratic by the end, but there was something you could tell his brain was like super switched on, quick, smart.
I think he got the kryptonite thing because of testing on the alien body. But he didn't come across as much smart. The two main things I got from Man of Steel, Lex, was that one, he was a bit nuts, and that was maybe somehow attributed to how he was treated by his father.
Yes.
And two, that he was just a rich kid that believed he could get what he wanted because he just had shitloads of money.
Yeah.
Whereas the Lex in the first one was more like your old school kind of baddie who's smart and conniving and...
Oh, it's definitely old school. It's very Bond.
He's obviously got more... He's obviously not as... he obviously in his mind is a lot more impressive than he is in reality, because he always going, look at this and look at that, and then and then his sidekicks and his girlfriend are kind of like, it's not that impressive and stuff. But I like
that female girlfriend character. I like
Miss Tessmacher.
Miss Tessmacher.
Love Miss Tessmacher.
I love the way that Miss Tessmacher would just like push back against Lex. Yeah. Like, I thought that was really good.
I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah.
I loved that. That was like definitely a highlight of the movie, was those two. I thought Gene Hackman's a brilliant actor, and I thought I loved seeing Miss Tessmacher like just kind of put up with him.
Yeah.
And didn't wasn't really. She was occasionally she'd be impressed. Occasionally she'd be like, "Oh wow," but a lot of times she'd be like, "You're not that impressive."
Yeah. Yeah. I thought that was good.
I thought that was really good. So anyway. So let's talk about when Superman becomes Superman. And when you first see him doing Superman-y things in Superman 78, it's the night, and you get the impression that this is the first time he's ever shown himself to be Superman in his cape and his outfit in the city, at least, because the very next day it's all over the headlines and nobody seems to recognize him or anything. So you get the impression, that's the first night.
I don't remember what was his first thing he did.
Well, the night consisted of him saving Lois Lane from the helicopter, getting stuck in the...
Oh, yes.
Then stopping a burglar that's going up the side of a massive skyscraper with suction pads.
Yeah.
There's saving a girl's cat from the tree.
Oh, yes.
There's stopping those criminals that are escaping in a boat. Mm-hmm. He stops some of them before they get on the boat, and then he stops the other ones by bringing the boat back and chucking it in front of the police
and putting it on the street. Okay, I remember now.
Which, you gotta wonder, there must have, there's a lot of damages in that movie. You wonder, really, maybe you could have dealt with the criminals without creating quite so much destruction. But anyway, that's addressed in Man of Steel, or Batman v Superman, because then the whole part of the reason why they're all against him is because of how much destruction he caused.
Yeah. Whereas
in the first film, it's just kind of brushed aside.
Yeah.
He's Superman, come on, he's saving the world. So then you've got this night where everybody saves all these people, he stops the baddies, and then everyone knows Superman, and then after that he meets Lois Lane for the date on the roof, and that's your main sort of middle part. In Man of Steel, so just on that, I really enjoyed that part because that's the most kind of like classic Superman-y part of the whole movie.
For sure.
He's just like stopping the baddies, helping the goodies. There's little comedy bits in between.
Yeah.
And he's loving being Superman. Every time people are like, "Thanks, Superman," he's like, "No problem," and his big smile on his face, and he's loving it. And it's like, I just love that bit.
That's the iconic.
That's the classic
Superman. Yeah.
And Man of Steel, you don't. Another criticism I would say of Man of Steel, you don't really get any of that.
What happens in Man of Steel? You have to remind me because obviously I forgot.
Well, basically, the first time he turns into Superman, he has a one wee moment where he's like flying, and he's like, "Oh, this is really cool."
Oh yeah, he has to learn how to fly.
Right, and that's cool. But when he first reveals himself as Superman to people, it's in response to Zod, which again is more realistic because if your dad had told you never to, if you'd been drilled into you as a child, never reveal your powers, then the only time one time you would think, okay, fair, I have to actually reveal my powers here, was because you were being attacked by an alien from your planet.
Yeah.
You'd be like, okay, this is probably a good time as any.
And Zod had called for Superman to come to him, otherwise Zod was going to wipe out humankind.
That's it. So there's a lot of things thinking, a lot of reasons for him, and even then he still kind of went to his mum and said, "What should I do?" Remember? Which is
I love that the relationship with Superman and his mum.
And that actress, I can't remember her name. She's brilliant, but and so again, less realistic in Christopher Reeve Superman because he just decides to reveal himself basically because Lois just got stuck in a helicopter, and then he just goes, right, I'm just gonna go now. I'm Superman. Might as well just go and save a bunch of people. There's no really.
It was his calling.
It was his calling, but there's no real kind of worrying about should I do this or not. He just goes for it. And then there's the call back to the phone box because he goes to the phone box and it's not a phone box, it's just a phone on a post because it's like a modern phone box.
And then he goes
at it, he goes, nah.
And he goes through the rotating doors.
So
that was quite good.
Man of Steel, you don't really get any of the fun saving classic Superman stuff. In fact, there's very little humour at all in.
No, there isn't really any humour in Man of Steel.
Another reason why I don't like it so much.
Oh no, I don't bother that at all. I kind of like how it's that bit more realistic.
But you love the Marvel movies, right?
I do love the Marvel movies.
And they are full of humour. Yes. And that's one of the reasons you probably like them, right?
Yeah, I mean there could have been some humour in Man of Steel. I think they could have added it in, but I suppose they were going for a bit more of a sort of slightly darker.
It's like you go from
Superman.
It's like they go from troubled Clark Kent, lost, wandering the earth, not knowing what to do, but still hiding his powers, to discovering his powers and then suddenly having to save the planet.
Yeah.
And so the whole thing is from one inner trauma to one outer trauma, and the whole thing is just trauma. Whereas Man of Steel with the Christopher Reeve Superman, even if you take 1 and 2 together, you've got like the touching parts from growing up. You've got the fun parts of him being Superman and saving the city. You've got the comedy elements of the bad guys with Lex and Miss Teschmacher, and the less funny idiot sidekick. So to me, it's just this got a bit more balance, you know. It's like the most serious part of really the first one is the bit that I remember not liking as a child. Is the whole thing with Marlon Brando as a dad on Krypton.
Oh yeah.
I remember as a kid just going, God, this is boring. This is serious, and like that's about as serious as the first one gets.
Yeah.
Apart from, let's go to the ends now.
Okay.
The end of Superman 70, when he's got to stop the 2 missiles, but one's going to the west, one's going to east, but the only way that he got away from the kryptonite around his neck was by Teschmacher saving him. Miss Teschmacher said, "I'll only save you if you stop the bomb going to where my mum lives first."
And then she sexually assaulted him in the pool.
I don't know if I'd call it that, but anyway, I suppose in some ways in some ways it was no, but then she was a baddie.
Okay.
Technically, but so then with him being Superman, even though he knew Lois Lane was in the West, going to the West, because he'd said he would do that, he has to do that because he can't lie. So he goes and saves Miss Tessmacher's mum and stops that missile first, which then in turn means that he's too late to save Lois Lane. He managed to block up the flood and all that business, but it's already too late to save Lois Lane because she gets trapped in the earthquake and under the old rubble and basically buried alive.
I think this was where I fell asleep.
Please don't say that on the podcast.
Well,
so this is the bit where Lois Lane is buried alive because he's too late to save her. So then it suddenly gets really serious again. For the first time basically since Marlon Brando in the whole movie, Lois Lane has been buried alive and he was too late to save her, and he goes into his real theatrical acting background and it's like looks up to the sky and screams no, and gets so angry that he basically goes so fast around the planet that it changes it and stops it spinning one way and makes it spin the other way, which then, and again I hate this part because
turns back time.
Although I don't mind things not being realistic, this crosses the line for me. He turns back time and saves Lois Lane.
Yeah.
So that's the only other really serious part of the movie. Whereas Man of Steel, it's serious from start to finish. And in Man of Steel, the ending is all about how he just has to stop Zod, basically. But meanwhile, Zod is basically trying to is terraforming the planet.
Yeah.
So that only him and his two other pals can repopulate it.
Yeah.
And it's just so grim, and I don't know. But I don't really like the ending of either. It's because
how did it ends in Man of Steel? Did he kill them all?
He basically kills Zod and his pals.
Oh! They remember how to put them back. Jor-El hologram tells Lois Lane what they need to do to be able to put the prisoners back into the sort of suspended time thing, and that's what they do. But they have to use his spaceship, Superman's spaceship, to make it happen. I remember now. And then they trap them all back in sort of a suspended time.
In Man of Steel?
Yeah.
I thought he killed them all. He kills them all.
Oh.
Do you not remember at the end? They're in like a bank or a train station or something, and General Zod is using his laser eyes and he's trying to kill these people that are trapped in a corner.
Yes.
And Superman's got him and he's trying to stop him.
Yeah.
And in the end he thinks he's trying not to kill him, and he thinks the only way I can stop him is by killing him, and he just like flips his neck.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Him.
Yeah.
So
he kills them all.
And then he screams like Superman 78. He then looks up to the sky and screams, "No!"
Well, because all the family got killed.
No, because he didn't want to kill Zod.
No, but all the family got killed as well because.
No, he saves the family.
But you don't see them after, and the corner's pretty burnt up.
No, but you see the laser getting to them, but not getting quite there. That's why he kills Zod.
I thought he killed the family too, and that's why he was upset. Why would he be upset about killing Zod?
Because he doesn't want to kill anybody, and Zod was the one.
Well, he's just going to have to go up a bit. There's some difficult choices he's going to have to make.
And to be fair, he'd only just come to terms with the fact he was from Krypton, and they were the only people from Krypton he'd ever met, and he just killed them. Of course, he's going to be a bit upset. Plus, Zod didn't seem like that bad a guy.
No, he wasn't. I quite like the complexity of General Zod. I do think the family got killed though. I think he was too late. I think when he snapped his neck, he shifted his eyes over and lasered them all.
Either way.
Just look at that scene again.
Oh yeah, no, okay, I'll check it out next time. So I don't like the ending of either movie. We haven't talked that much about Superman 2 or Batman v Superman, although we've made some references to Superman 2.
Yeah, I think we've spoken about that a lot. I think let's move on to Batman Superman.
Well, before we finish on Batman Superman, let's just talk about the whole thing in Superman 2 about Lois working out that who Superman is Clark Kent, and that whole storyline, and then falling in love and everything.
I feel like we did this already.
But how did you feel about that being like one of the main threads of Superman 2?
Oh, it was okay. I would have preferred a little bit more action in it.
So maybe
It was too much of a focus.
So maybe you prefer the fact that Man of Steel kind of put the two stories together.
Yeah, I thought that was a better move.
I think one thing they were lacking, by doing that, there's less of this Superman Lois story, which I agree was better, but they also meant there was no Lex Luthor. It was all about Zod. Which I like the idea of having the two separate movies. I like, first of all, the first movie is all about him dealing with one of Earth's greatest criminals, and then the second movie he's got an even bigger foe of like
Yeah, I
an
suppose.
alien,
It just
just
felt...
going straight to like the most powerful foe you could come across. He's not dealt with any baddies on Earth at this point.
I don't know. It felt a bit sequely, Superman 2, if I'm honest.
Okay, so let's briefly talk about Batman v Superman. Overall impressions of the movie?
Awful. I was really disappointed.
Now, I find that interesting because I remember you saying that at the time, and I thought that was interesting because I could tell that you preferred Man of Steel to the older Superman movies. And Batman v Superman is very kind of similar. I mean, it's the same director, or at least it was originally. It's the same kind of tone, it's the same actors. A lot of the stories connect because it starts talking about the aftermath of Zod and everything. So what was it about? What did Man of Steel have that Batman v Superman didn't have?
Right, I think Batman versus Superman could have been an amazing movie. It had the elements of an amazing movie. I liked the way it was filmed. I liked the different portrayals. The issue I had was for the first half of the movie, I had absolutely no idea what was going on. I was so confused by the way it was edited and cut together.
Why?
I don't really know. I was just very confused by it. I was like,
But what about,
who's this? What's this? Where are we going? It reminds me of one of those books you read that have got a million characters with a list at the beginning and you have to keep going back to check.
But what was it about the way it was edited and put together that made you feel like that?
I don't know, because it kept... I don't know why. It kept jumping between stories too much. And it was quite quick jumping as well. So
Yeah.
I just couldn't follow it. And because I couldn't follow it, I was like, there was no real point in me watching the movie, to be honest.
I agree that it jumps around too much. Pretty much the entire movie, actually.
Yeah.
But at least by about halfway through, you're starting to see more of the bits of stories. So
Yeah.
you're able to understand what it's jumping about. Whereas, like you say, at the very beginning, it's jumping about so much. You're just like, who's this guy? Why are they here? What's going on?
So confused.
And it's not really till about halfway through or even later that you actually understand what each bit's were relating to and stuff. And yeah, he does jump around too much. I do like the concept of Batman v Superman. I like how they've got like this guy who's basically dressed up, who acts like a superhero but doesn't have any superpowers, Batman. Who's basically doing like Superman's job but without the superpowers, and he's not an alien. Coming up against Superman, who is an alien, and all his powers are just natural to him. And it's almost like a jealousy.
For sure.
It's almost like a jealousy.
Batman does not come off well. I mean, he's
like,
just
jealous.
Totally egotistical. He becomes more like, what's Batman's like real name? Like who, when he's human form?
Yeah, I know what you mean. God, you put me in the spot and I've just forgotten his name.
I can't remember. But the way, his alter persona,
Bruce Wayne,
thank you, is this sort of toy boy, rich, sort of disrespectful with women, like all that kind of
like
thing.
the opposite of Clark Kent, really.
Yes, opposite of Clark Kent. But in Batman, he is much more... Well, he's not like that at all. He's like highly moral. He's like, get the bad guys, really serious, all that kind of thing. This made Batman be more like Bruce Wayne, and that he was basically really jealous of the very ripped Superman.
Well, again, that's like the Man of Steel. How they're basically saying neither of them are really putting on any fake personas. Like they're who they are as the superhero and who they are as their alter ego are basically more or less the same.
Yeah.
Which again, I don't like. I like the fact that in Batman, he's supposed to be. He acts like he's some a-hole basically, but really he's a really good guy who's getting rid of the baddies, and he's basically got saving the good people and saving people at heart. I like that contrast, the same as Superman, but
I mean, the movie definitely got better. I liked, by the time they got to the end and Batman understood that Superman was just doing his best. And yes, he messed up sometimes and all that kind of thing, but it was just, they were on the same side. They weren't on the opposite side, so...
There's quite a quick flip to that.
It was too quick.
Just because he has his mum's the same name.
Yeah, just because his mum's got the same name.
It's almost like, but I mean, that's on the surface. I guess it's more because he realised, Superman's got a mum like me, and Superman misses his mum or cares for his mum like I care for my mum.
He realised they were more similar than different.
Kind of humanises Superman in his mind.
But yeah, it was a bit late on in the story for that to happen. I would have liked that to have maybe happened.
Yes.
A bit earlier, but then it was
called. Cool.
But then it was called Batman versus Superman,
exactly.
so it was all about their rivalry. Oh, I can't say that word.
It would have been more enjoyable to see them kind of team up, and then go. Huh?
I'm trying to say the word. Sorry.
It would have been good to see them get on the same page earlier and team up and sort of and to have that kind of moment of, but then again, that would have been a moment of positivity in a series of movies that doesn't have much positivity basically. So that's almost like a different movie because they just want, again, Batman v Superman, Batman's all pissed off with Superman's struggling with everyone hating him, then there's another bad guy who's basically creepy and messed up, and then they all fight and Superman dies and Batman feels bad, and it's just like, again, where's the fun, where's the positivity, where's the hope?
Yeah,
but it doesn't seem that different. I do prefer Man of Steel, just because I think probably just mainly because I just like Superman more than Batman as a character in general, but to me he had the same issues, Batman v Superman, as Superman Man of Steel.
Well, I think the storyline was much better in Man of Steel. Out of all of those movies that we watched, Man of Steel is the one I would watch again. So,
let's get to the main reason why we're talking about the Superman movies.
Okay, go.
There's a new Superman movie coming out this week that we're going to go and see as a family.
Woohoo!
Which I'm very excited about. And I'd like to ask you, after recently seeing Superman 1 and 2 and Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, what are you hoping the new Superman is going to be like?
Oh, I like this.
Is it going to be more like one movie, more like the other, less like one bit, or is it something completely different that's not in any of them? Or like, what are you hoping?
I am hoping, this is a good question. I hope the new Superman movie, and it did start off in Man of Steel, so I definitely want it to be more like Man of Steel, but the idea that aliens are on Earth, have crashed to Earth, and the government knows all about it. I want to see more of that. I want to see more about the government cover-up of UFOs and all that kind of thing. The use of resonance and frequency, because, the crystal things made all those tones. Like, I think there could be something really cool there. Something a little bit Close Encounters of the Third Kind, switched in with Superman somehow.
So you're hoping for more alien conspiracy type stuff?
Yes. Oh my gosh, I really hope it's about that. What about you?
I guess I'm hoping there's maybe, I'm not sure, it's like anytime they redo a Superman or a superhero film, I'm always like wondering, I don't know how much I want them to remake or reframe the origin story, or how much you want to just, because sometimes they just go, well, everyone knows the origin story, so we'll just not bother focusing on that too much. So I'm not sure. I actually don't know when it comes to story wise and what I want to be in it. I'm quite open-minded about that. I don't really mind too much about the plot. What I do want it to be is more tonally like the older Superman movies.
It's not going to be like that.
Why do you say that?
I just don't. I think that's like an old-fashioned humor.
But you don't know. Do you know what I mean by the tonally?
Well, I thought you meant the kind of feeling of it.
Yeah, but see, I don't just mean the humor.
Okay.
I mean like, less focus on it being believable. More colorful, just visually, because I thought the newer movies were like all had a sort of grey, dark grey blue darkness to the whole tone of the movie, and the original movies were way more colourful, with whites and blues and yellows and bright colours, much more stuff shot in daylight. I prefer movies that are just brighter in general, but just tone wise, I want it to be a little bit more of a. Doesn't have to be silly. I don't want it to be necessarily silly, but I'd like to have more humour than Man of Steel, for example, or Batman v Superman. I'd like to have more humour, but I don't necessarily need it to be like hilarious the whole time.
Sort of Iron Man-y.
I don't know. I don't want to compare it to other movies, but I like a just more light-hearted kind of feel to certain elements of it. Maybe some character moments and stuff that are actually not just all grim and traumatized. You know, light-hearted dialogue now and again, and just a general tone of how Superman is a force for good, and how the whole message of the movie is about the power of hope, and the power of seeing the good in people and trying to and standing up to the bad, and just a more hopeful, positive message in general. Because I came away from Man of Steel and Batman v Superman kind of depressed. All this questioning of like, oh, he's an alien, should he really do this? And even Man of Steel, the whole like fear of his powers and will people accept them and stuff. I mean, my favourite part of Man of Steel was probably the part where the army are fighting Zod and Superman and everybody, and then they realise Superman's been on their side, and when they've all Zod and his pals have all left, and they discover Superman, and they don't know whether to shoot him or not, and the general guy goes no, like I can't remember what he says, but something like he's one of us, or
he puts his gun down or something.
Like that was the most positive part of like those two newer movies that we saw. I'd like to be more of that.
Well, I do hope that there's a feeling of hopefulness through it, and whether it be people or alien beings, seeing the good in humanity, because I think that would be really uplifting for a lot of the people that are about to go see it.
Yeah, I mean, okay. So, what is there anything that you want that the movies that we've just watched? Is there anything that they didn't do that you'd like this new Superman to do, apart from the alien conspiracy stuff? Or is that the only really thing you're hoping for?
No, that's the only thing I'm hoping for.
See, I'm really hoping for, and I know it's going to be hard because your instant reaction when I said it, I hope it'll be more like the first one. Your instant reaction was what a lot of people I think are thinking about this new movie is like, oh, it wouldn't work if they did a movie like Reeve Superman, because people are kind of more cynical these days. People want everything to be realistic, and my biggest hope is that somehow they produce a movie in this new Superman that does somehow capture that essence of the original Superman movies of hope and just general message of like, you know, be good and be moralistic and all that sort of stuff, and help people. If they can if they're able to get that feel and that message across in a way that is accepted and appreciated by a modern audience, then this movie will be massive. But
Wow.
my worry is either they compromise somehow because they think, oh, people can't deal with that, or they go for it and it's slated because people are just like, it's stupid, what's the point, it's just silly, blah 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 blah. And so if they can nail it and capture the essence of the original of what I believe Superman's actually about, and it actually people connect with it and it's popular, then I will be delighted. But I'm like you. I'm not sure if it can be done. I'm confident that if they did that, I would enjoy it, but I'm not confident that the majority of people would enjoy it. So
Well, let's find out next week.
let's find it. No, let's find it this week.
This week.
Yeah, and we can maybe have a little chat about it afterwards.
We can do a short bonus episode.
Bonus episode.
That won't be 4 hours long.
This won't be 4 hours long either because I'm going to edit out a whole bunch of stuff.
Okay.
So yeah, so we'll speak soon about our thoughts on the new 2025 Superman movie.
Super.
Until then, say goodbye everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
BlasterGas. 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 BlasterGas.